welcome back, everybody, to episode 35 of the ForbiddenCast. Today, I actually have something planned out for what I'm going to talk about. And, so let's jump right into it. So today, I want to talk about my top 10 favorite albums of all time that have both, are just fun to listen to and have also influenced me to play guitar and shape me into the musician that I am today. I don't think this list is really going to have like a proper ranking, like 10 being my least favorite to 1 being, my absolute favorite. I think this is just going to be just 10 albums that I really, really like and have learned a lot from and, have been influenced by. So I think, where should we even start with this? I got my iTunes library opened up. I know there's a few albums like right off the bat that are popping up into my mind. And I'm going to try to keep it with just one album per artist so that there's more albums, because I have a lot of favorite albums. And EPs also count. I'm also going to count EPs for this as well. So, yeah. So first off, right off the bat, I think the very, very first one that I need to mention is probably Megadeth's 1985 debut album, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. This was the very first... I shouldn't say this is the very first Megadeth album that I listened to fully, because I think I've listened to Rust in Peace before that. Because the way I got into Megadeth was I was starting to get into metal a lot more, because my very first favorite artists were Van Halen and Rush. And then from that point on, I don't know if I heard Death Clock first or if I watched Metalocalypse first, but either way, those were my two favorite bands, Van Halen and Rush, for the longest time. And then I was also into Ozzy. Well, I was more into Randy Rhoads. I've always been more into Randy Rhoads than I was actually just listening to Ozzy. So that's why I never really mention many of the other guitar players that have played with Ozzy. I just mostly mention Randy Rhoads, because I listened to Ozzy Osbourne's 2 first albums mostly, because they have Randy Rhoads on it, and I love Randy Rhoads' songwriting, his guitar playing, and his licks and everything like that. So yeah, but we'll get back into that in a minute. But yeah, so like that's kind of how I evolved. I liked Rush and then Van Halen, and then I started listening to Randy Rhoads and started getting really into him, and then I had this massive leap into really liking Death Clock and liking just how brutal and just really honestly melodic, really nice guitar melodies that Brendan Small would write. And then from that point on, I started listening to more Metallica, listening to, Enter Sandman, and I really liked Whiplash, and what was the other song? No Remorse were really, really good were really good songs too, not albums. And then I always kept watching like documentaries and stuff like that on Metallica, and then they always mentioned this Dave Mustaine guy. He was like the first, lead guitar player for Metallica. And then they had to kick him out eventually, and his name always got brought up with Metallica for some reason. And then I think one day I finally looked into who Dave Mustaine was, and I think I listened to a couple of songs. I don't remember which songs I listened to, but I know one of them was Back in the Day off of The System Has Failed, which was released in 2004. And Back in the Day also was featured in a Duck Dodgers, whatever cartoon at the time there was out, that Daffy Duck played like a space cadet kind of show with Porky Pig. I actually remember watching that show, and I think, if I'm not wrong, I think I actually even remember the episode where Dave Mustaine was in it, and they feature this song on that episode, which is really cool. I wasn't into Megadeth at the time whenever that episode aired, but re-watching it always seemed familiar to me. Um, but yeah, no, it's really really cool. And Back in the Day is a really really fantastic song. But the album that I fell in love with, where I really got into Megadeth, was Killing Is My Business, because I remember around the same time too, Megadeth was putting out Super Collider, and as many people know, Super Collider was a really kind of one of the most hated Megadeth albums, even more so than Risk was. Um, which I find really strange because I like Super Collider a lot better than Risk. But yeah, no, that album was coming out, so I was kind of all hyped up for that because I just got into Megadeth, and then Dave Mustaine and Chris Broderick, who was the guitarist at the time, were on the front of a Guitar World magazine as well. It was a really cool cover too because like they had a bunch, they're all their guitars surrounding them, and then they're just kind of like laying there on the floor next to each other or stand. I don't remember what the cover was 100%, but it was something like that where they're just laying on the ground holding their instruments while all of the rest of their instruments are kind of surrounding them, which is really cool. And in that Guitar World magazine, they had the tablature for Sweating Bullets, so I remember checking that song out as well. The beginning riff to Sweating Bullets is really really cool and interesting to me. And then I finally watched the Megadeth documentary, like the Behind the Music documentary, and just I remember the first time hearing the opening riff to Love to Death. It just got me so hooked on the old school thrashy Megadeth of like the very first four albums. And then especially that album there, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Just every single song off that album just opened doors for me. Like Last Rites Love to Death, awesome song. Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, awesome song. The Skull Beneath the Skin, just crazy intense song. Rattlehead, again, crazy and intense. Chosen One, super short but awesome because it had guitar solos, it had really cool vocal melody, it had a bass solo, it had a drum solo, it just had everything in it in a freaking 2-minute song. It just ripped. But Chosen Ones is like a super underrated song in my opinion. Looking Down the Cross, my all-time favorite Megadeth song and one of my all-time favorite songs. Super, really, really good song. Really inventive, like intro and everything like that. And then the Mechanics, which obviously the debate, which Mechanics and the Four Horsemen, and then their cover of These Boots Were Made for Walking. Again, just crazy awesome album, and it's gonna be definitely on my top 10 list for sure. Which kind of sucks because I can probably add almost all of the Megadeth albums onto this list, but like I said in the beginning, I'm going to limit myself to just one album per artist. So that album there, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Go listen to their most recent remaster and remixed version of this album called Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, The Final Kill. It sounds phenomenal. It sounds really, really good. And plus, I love the cover art. Like, it's like how Dave Mustaine originally saw how he wanted the album art to look like. But I do still love the classic album art with like the really shitty skull and everything, and like the tin foil and the knife and candle and everything like that. So it just gives the album an extra vibe to it and atmosphere. Which leads me to the second one that I'm going to say. Although I do love Kill 'Em All by Metallica's debut, my all-time favorite Metallica album would have to be Ride the Lightning. No doubt in my mind. Ride the Lightning just, I don't know, speaks to me on so many more levels than any of the other Metallica albums, even more so than Master of Puppets. People say that Master of Puppets is Metallica's absolute masterpiece, but I absolutely adore Ride the Lightning. Not only because it has my favorite Metallica song on it, The Call of Cthulhu, It's also got Fade to Black. It's just the heaviest and thrashiest. Maybe not the heaviest, but definitely the thrashiest out of all of the first 4 Metallica albums. Um, where like I feel like Kill 'Em All was a really good thrashy album. I felt like they were still trying to figure out what their sound was, but then Ride the Lightning hit, and it's just like, yeah, that's what this is Metallica, you know, with the really cool intro with Fight Fire with Fire, with the like almost like classical piece at the beginning, and then having Ride the Lightning and For Whom the Bell Tolls, and then having Fade to Black, and especially on like if you're listening to on the vinyl, because it's just like intense, and then you hit Fade to Black, and it's just a nice long ballady song about kind of giving up on life, which is really a sad song, but it's I don't know, it's just something really really nice about it, especially with the solo and all the guitar melodies that they come up with. And then because you listen to it on the on the vinyl, it fades out, like Fade to Black fades out the first like side A of the vinyl, and then you flip it around and you get punched in the face with Trapped Under Ice, and it's just so awesome. And then you also got like the more poppy, I, I put poppy in quotations, with Escape, which a lot of people don't like, but I love Escape. It's such a good song. It's got a really catchy, hooky chorus to it, and I love it a lot. And then obviously you have Creeping Death as well, which you can't go wrong with. And then obviously, the Call of Cthulhu. And then with the deluxe edition as well, you get the cover of Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg as well, which are 2 really really good covers that Metallica does, that I love as well. But yeah, so that would probably be number 2 for me on the list. So far we got Kill 'Em All, Killing Is My Business, not Kill 'Em All, oh my god, Killing Is My Business, and Ride the Lightning. After that, let's see where we'd have to go from there. I've mentioned this in a previous episode, but Havoc's newest album, V, released in 2020. This album, in my opinion, is just the ultimate thrash album, especially for modern metal. Like it's thrashy, it's heavy, it's got tons of hooks. Almost every single song for the chorus has a hook in it. It's got lyrics that make you think. It's got lyrics that make you be like, oh wow. Tons of really cool songs. The opening song, Post Truth Era, is just killer, and it kind of even calls back to Metallica's Blackened, because in the beginning of Blackened it has like a reversed kind of really nice melodic intro to it, but the whole track is reversed, so all the guitar parts you're listening to is just like a fade in of guitar parts being played in reverse. And then Post Truth Era opens with like the kind of same thing. But what's really cool about it is because if you listen to the very last song on the album, called Don't Do It, the outro of Don't Do It, which is a song about anti-suicide, the outro to the song is the intro of Post Truth Era, played not in reverse but on acoustic guitars. So when you listen to Don't Do It, if you listen to this album on like repeat, so if you listen all the way through and you get to Don't Do It, you listen to the very last acoustic nice melodic part and let the album just replay itself to Post Truth Era, it has like a nice long strung out outro, and it just kind of fades out with that, and it fades back in with the same guitar parts that were just played but on electric guitars and now in reverse. So I think that's really really cool how like it has like that cyclical kind of nature to it, which is really 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 cool songwriting in my opinion. And then I mean yeah, everything else on this album, Fear Campaign, Ritual of the Mind, Panpsychism is a really cool song, Cosmetic Surgery, like all these songs are really awesome. You should go read the lyrics to these songs. Super cool. And the album art's really, really awesome too. Like the dude he's got like mushrooms growing out of his shoulder. He's like, he can see, the infinite. Um, and then like, his skin's like deteriorating. It's very psychedelic and cool. I like it a lot. And even the Havoc logo kind of got updated a little bit, and it looks like it's like, more like a splatter kind of thing. It's really, really cool, but you can still read it. But yeah, so that would probably be number 3 for me. um Going forward would be, it's hard to say. It's really, really hard to say. Here we go. Here's one that might be surprising, maybe not, but Asia by Asia, released in 1982. Asia's debut album. This is, I can't remember who all of the members are, but I think they're all from pretty popular bands. But the guitar player, one of the main guitar players, I forget his name right now, from Yes, the the glasses wearing. He even looked old whenever he was back in, like the 70s. He looked like he was the oldest member of the band. But he played guitar and was the main guitar player for Asia as well, if I'm not wrong. But their debut album just really kicks ass. I mean, all of the songs feel like hits. The album starts with Heat of the Moment, then it leads into Only Time Will Tell, Soul Survivor, One Step Closer, Time Again, Wildest Dreams, Without You, Cutting It Fine, and Here Comes the Feeling. Like, I feel like most of these songs off this album were just like hit after hit after hit, which is like, it's crazy to think about that. Like, even the album art is super cool. Like, you got the really cool, unique Asia logo that like kind of like looks like a pyramid, and then like underneath you just got like this giant like water dragon trying to catch a pearl, which is really, really cool. Even calls back, like that kind of gets called back to in Heat of the Moment, um, with the lyrics, I think in the second verse, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, super, super cool album. That would be number 4 for me for sure. um, so that's pretty cool. Uh, and again, I want to repeat that, like, all these albums, like, these are just 10 albums that I like and have influenced me a lot. I wouldn't say that like I'm putting them in order or anything like that. So yeah. Okay. Number 5 for me would have to be Galacticon 2: Become the Storm by Brennan Small. This album, holy shit, is there just a ton of story with this album. So I'll make a really shortened version of it. It's still going to be long probably, but a shortened version of it is Adult Swim, which is the TV network underneath Cartoon Network, had the show playing Metalocalypse, which spawned the band Death Clock, and the mastermind behind all that was Brendan Small. He wrote all the music and he voiced most of the characters on the show. He had a huge part to play in all of it. And then Adult Swim, they released the Doomstar Requiem, which is like basically a giant death metal opera with like little poppy bits here and there and everything like that. Like, there's no talking through it, all of it. It was just all vocal. It was all singing and everything like that, like a proper opera, and really, really cool, really unique, really awesome. And it dives deep into the backstory of the band and everything like that. All fictional, of course, but like super, super cool. But then after that, Adult Swim canceled the show. They had basically one season left to do, and then Adult Swim pulled the plug on the show because they're like, no, we just want to move on to different things. Not because the show wasn't getting enough viewers or anything like that. It's just because they're done with it. They're done with the show. They wanted to move on to more stuff. Like, they're having new shows coming on that were going to be kind of metal themed or whatever. So they're like, yeah, like whatever. It's been on the show's been on long enough now. It's time to, get some new shit on here. And then fans were extremely pissed. They even started a campaign to try to bring Metalocalypse back and everything like that. But like the network kept saying like, no, sorry, like we're just done with it. So then in response to that, Brendan Small was just like, okay, I'll just write a new album. And then if you listen to specific songs in a specific order and everything like that off of this album, it'll basically tell you the story of how Metalocalypse ends. And that's why I love this album so much. Not only because the music in it is extremely good, just all the uniqueness that Brendan Small had put in time and effort into, all the crazy just in the studio kind of back and forth like guitar tracks and stuff like that, and like washy stuff, and the amazing playing of Brendan Small, both vocally and guitar playing and songwriting. But I mean, also Brian Beller on bass. He plays some crazy stuff on there, and then also Gene Hoglan on drums. All just amazing musicians. And the songs are they're just so awesome. They're just spacey and extreme, and just have these like amazing choruses and everything like that. So yeah, this is gonna be, oh jeez, which number am I at? 5 now? Galacticon number 5. Yeah, because I got Killing Is My Business, Ride the Lightning, which one? V, Asia, and then now Galacticon 2, Become the Storm. So yeah, so that's number 5. So yeah, go check that album out if you've never listened to that before. Now moving on from those, what else do I have here? Yes. Pliny's Other Things EP. This little EP only has 3 songs on it, but all 3 of the songs are like my absolute favorite Pliny songs. If you've never heard of Pliny, you should definitely go check him out. He's written tons of not 2 albums so far, and tons of little EPs. And he's a instrumental guitarist from Australia, and yeah, he's probably one of my all-time favorite modern prog rock guitar players. He's very creative with his songwriting. Yeah, he's always got really cool cover like art for his albums and EPs and stuff like that too. But released in 2013, Other Things is just a killer EP. The opening song, Heart, is a like acoustic thing. I think it's half a step down, but in like Dadgad, if I'm not wrong. That's how the album is, and it's a really, really cool piece. I don't know what else to say about Other Things. It's been a while since I've actually listened to Other Things, but I know I love it. Really, really good song as well. And then my all-time favorite Pliny song of all time is Selenium Forest. Just that song there had huge, especially the main riff of Selenium Forest had a big part to play in the songwriting process of my song, the Dark Matter Fleet. So yeah, it's yeah. It means a lot to me. So that's number 6. So yeah, go check that out if you can. All right, so moving onwards. Oh, this is gonna be a tough one. I'm on to Rush now. Shit. Honestly, I think I have to say A Farewell to Kings is probably my all-time favorite Rush album. Not only because every song on this album I love, but because my all-time favorite Rush song is also on this album. The album opens up with A Farewell to Kings, which is just a super great song. Xanadu's on here. Closer to the Heart. You can't go wrong with Closer to the Heart. Great song. Cinderella Man is probably, in my opinion, the weakest song on the album. Really cool intro riff, but I find the song kind of lacks after that. Again, that's just my opinion, so don't crucify me. And in Madrigal, I have a very, very special spot in my heart for that song. Really nice, pretty song. I do love. It's funny because I do love the song, but not this version of it. Strangely enough, I love the Ninja Sex Party cover of it. It's so much prettier and nicer, in my opinion. But I still love this song regardless. One of my favorite songs. But then comes my absolute favorite Rush song of all time, Cygnus X1, Book 1, The Voyage. It's just the heaviest, proggiest Rush song that I can think of. Not only because of the riffs, but like the ending vocals that Geddy Lee does. He's just full on belting out these screaming like lines, and it's just awesome. And it tells such a really cool story. And it's, of course, it's a prog rock song, so it's 10 minutes long. But just crazy, crazy guitar parts, and it's really dark feeling and sounding and everything like that. So, yeah, this is gonna have to be number 7 for me. A Farewell to Kings, released in 1977. It's crazy to think about. So I'm up to 7. Now where else could I go from there? Huh. Oh yes, definitely. Another band, another newer band that has influenced me greatly. This album, well, it's an EP, but it's their second EP, released in 2018 by the band Trendkill. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Trendkill released their 2018 second EP called Black Moon. This album features 5 songs on it, and each song has its own feel and own groove and everything to it, and it's awesome. It goes from like having thrashy riffs in Renegade, awesome, just fun kind of classic thrash sounding, and then it goes into Black Moon, this really dark and brooding kind of song, and then it goes into like almost like black metal thrashy feel, which is awesome. And then their classic song, Asylum, great song, really good groove to it. Playing God is another really cool song that even features a really cool like Cliff Burton type bass solo at the very end of it. And then The Host is such an amazing song. It's I don't know how to describe the song. It's just a really, really original sounding. But yeah, go check out Black Moon. This is gonna have to be number 8 for me. Is that 8 now? How many albums has that been? Let me recount. So let's recap from this point, because I only got 2 left. Killing is My Business, and Business is Good. Ride the Lightning, Asia. I feel like I'm missing one already. Asia, V. Become the Storm, Galacticon 2, Become the Storm. Other Things, A Farewell to Kings. Yeah, so that would be 8. And then Black Moon. And now, let's get on to the next 2. So, this one here might also be kind of surprising for some people, since all of the other ones have been basically rock and metal. It's going to take a complete step in a different direction. But the album Under the Covers, the very first Under the Covers album by Ninja Sex Party, I listened to this album religiously whenever it came out. It was so good. Just such. All the covers on this album are just so good. And it's a very. Especially with what this. I was still in high school whenever this album was released. And at the time, I was going through an extremely hard breakup and like end of a relationship in between those two things. And of course, whenever you're in high school, all that things feels like, never ending, and like it's gonna, that's the end of the world, even though it's not. Um, but yeah, this album was there for me when it felt like no one else was. uh, and again, I'll repeat it, when it felt like no one else was. I had tons of people who were there for me. I just chose not to seek out help. I just wanted to be left alone in misery. But this album was constantly playing through my earphones. Um, but I mean, they covered "Take on Me," a classic Aha song. "Everybody Wants to Rule the World," "Subdivisions," "Your Love," "Misunderstanding," "Rock with You," "Madrigal," which I mentioned earlier, "The Burning Down," "Jump," we close our eyes, which I'm pretty sure is, if I'm not wrong, Oingo Boingo. The Last Unicorn, they did a fantastic job on that. And "Wish You Were Here." And this was also the very first album that Ninja Sex Party had done featuring like their now longtime like friends and musicians, Tupperware Remix Party. So it's like this album, if I'm not wrong, is basically the entire album that completely changed Ninja Sex Party, and had brought them to a much wider audience. Like, I was already a fan of Ninja Sex Party before this album, and Game Grumps, but once this album came out, like, I felt like Ninja Sex Party had grown to new lengths, and like they did three under the covers albums. I mean, I still love Volume 2 and Volume 3. They both have like, you know, they're both extremely amazing. But like the very first one, because of, the nostalgia that comes with it, I think it really it speaks to me. And then, like, on top of that, like all the synthy and 80s kind of and 70s vibe that this album gives off. Well, I mean, all three of the Under the Covers albums give off. It's really, really cool. And I love the song choices they picked. Like, I'm glad they grabbed some really like famous songs like "Take on Me" and "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" and everything like that. But then also did some kind of obscure songs like "Madrigal," and even "The Burning Down" by King's X. Like, I never had heard this song before, and because of Ninja Sex Party, they kind of opened that door, and it's really, really cool. And it's a really good song. So yeah, so that'd be number 9. And now for number 10, I don't even think I have it on here. Not yet, anyways. But that would have to go to a band. I don't really even want to call them a band, but like they are a band. It's called the Sanity Days. Evil Beyond Belief. That'll be number 10 for me. That album there was also playing through my earphones a lot during that period of like, during that period of whenever in high school where I was with this girl who was like, are we going to end? Are we not going to end? I don't know what's going on right now. I'm not going to ask because, I don't want to ruin things, because obviously I still want to be with her and everything like that. And then ultimately we ended up ending things, and yeah, it was just a bad time. It was really, really anxiety driven time and angsty driven time for me. Um, but yeah, I mean, whatever. It is what it is, and I mean, yeah, I'm happy where I am now. So, and with who I am with today. So yeah, it's all for the best. Um, uh, but that album there, the Sanity Days, which is again another really cool story with them, is basically the very first lineup done with Onslaught for their debut album. shit, where is it? In Search of Sanity. They had the vocalist, if I'm not wrong, the vocalist for Grim Reaper had came in, and he's got a very powerful um, poppy power metal kind of vocal to it. And Onslaught was this really thrashy kind of band, but they had him come in and do this album, and they had tons of really great songs. I mean, even in Search of Sanity, uh, in Search of the song itself is such a good song and amazing vocals, amazing guitar playing. I mean, they did two covers on this album, on In Search of Sanity, called an AC/DC song, Let There Be Rock, and then they also did Angel Witches Confused. Their song Welcome to Dying, it's a 12-minute power ballad, and it just kicks ass. But what's cool about the Sanity Days, like the band, it's a callback to to that album. Um, and Evil Beyond Belief is basically the all the members of Onslaught from that period, if I'm not wrong. They all got back together with the original vocalist, because I think after that album they either disbanded or he quit, or they fired him because they were like, oh no, we want to do like a more metal style thing, like not this weird whatever the hell this album was. And they got back together in 2015, and then they wrote this incredibly awesome album called Evil Beyond Belief. Um, every single song off of this album I love, and it's awesome too because I mean they got like some really long, 9-minute long songs, 8-minute long songs, and then they also got like a couple of short ones. But like their song Broken Wings is absolutely killer. My Last Words is a really touching song as well. I mean, yeah, if you're an angsty teenager like I was, like yeah, like you'll probably love this album. I mean, My Demon Mind, every single song in this. They have a weird little intro called Genesis, where it's like a kid talking about his like imaginary ghost friend called Charlie. Um, and then it leads into the song Charlie, and even that the very first riff of the song is super super cool and catchy. And that's the thing about this album, is that because of the dude doing the vocals, like all the songs have really catchy good hooks in them. And then the guitar playing is just great, and the mix sounds really cool as well. um, I like the sound of the guitars and the drums and everything like that. So yeah, there you go. That's it. I mean, mostly metal, for me, obviously, but yeah, that there is my top 10 favorite albums of all time. I wish there's more albums I can add to it, but I mean, I'm gonna keep it at 10. I mean, because Master of the Universe by Ola Englund would probably be on there. It's like a bonus one, I guess. Um, yeah, I mean, there's tons of albums that could be on here, but yeah, no. So that's probably my top 10 favorite albums of all time. So go give some of them a listen if you're interested, and show those bands some love and tell them I sent you. All right, everybody, that's gonna do it for today's episode. There's not gonna be a song of the week because I mean I just recommended like probably well over 5 or 6 hours worth of music. So I mean, you go listen to some albums. It's not. I don't feel like there's not enough people nowadays who actually listen to full albums. They just kind of listen to the hits off of a album and then just kind of leave it at that. I think it's important to listen to full on albums and to purchase them as well. Like either in a CD format or vinyl, even, because I mean vinyls are starting to come back, which is really cool. I like vinyls a lot. I think they're cool. They're just nice little display. Like they look cool. Um, and then yeah, I mean even that digitally, like yeah, go check it out. Go listen to a full album instead of just the main song, because the bands I like listening to, anyways, like they usually kind of have like overall theme with the songs and the album title and everything, like because a lot of artists put a lot of work. They don't just write a bunch of songs and slap some lyrics on it and then say like, I don't know, put a cool cover art on it. Like, I mean, the bands that I listen to anyways, like actually put some thought into it. It's like, okay, what's the overall theme of the whole album with the songs and everything like that, and then do you try to theme the album art based off of it. And yeah, like there's usually a lot of time and effort put into all that stuff, and it's good whenever the artist actually gets the appreciation they deserve for it. So yeah, go listen to one of those albums, or go listen to all of them at some point. But anyways, everybody, thank you so much for listening to me talk about music for 40 minutes. I'm yeah, I'm gonna call it. So you guys have yourself a wonderful rest of the day or night or whatever you're listening to this to, whatever time you're listening to this to. Yeah, I'll catch you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.